if questioning medical authority makes you dangerous, maybe the system isn't as confident as it claims to be. If parents asking questions is labeled misinformation, maybe compliance, not health, is the real goal. And if trusting your intuition about your own child is considered radical, we need to ask who benefits from parents staying quiet.
Better is defined as more drugs and more of the system, then medicine is not confused. Medicine is doing exactly what it's potentially designed to do. If better means healthier, vibrant, more resilient, less dependent on pharma, then medicine is very confused. Healing becomes controversial when you have convinced generations of people to believe that their body is not only made to not heal, but it's made for your demise.
All right, if questioning medical authority makes you dangerous, maybe the system isn't as confident as it claims to be. If parents asking questions is labeled misinformation, maybe compliance, not health, is the real goal. And if trusting your intuition about your own child is considered radical, we need to ask who benefits from parents staying quiet. In today's episode isn't about rejecting medicine. It's about rejecting fear-based control. It's about whether parents are still allowed to think, ask, and choose. And if that makes you uncomfortable, good. Because healing doesn't happen where obedience is demanded. This is the UNspecial podcast, and today we're talking about healing, medical freedom, and why parents were never supposed to outsource their authority. And we have the honor to have Dr. Stanton Hom, a father, dad, West Point grad, clinic director at Future Generations Chiropractic, the host of the Future Generations podcast, the Future Foundation's course creator, and my family has the incredible honor and is blessed to experience miracles daily through the neurologically focused chiropractic work with Dr. Stan. Welcome.
Thank you, Zach, man. It's an honor to be here. And I just want to do a quick, we wouldn't be connected if it wasn't for God's hand and the pediatric experience and the PX docs community and all the ways that you got connected through, all the Christy Hafer and a lot of the amazing docs that I've gotten to work with for a long time. And so at the end of the day, like, it ain't me, it's it's definitely someone orchestrating all of this. And I think that's just the mission that we're on, which is awesome, man. I'm grateful to be here.
Yeah. And it's always seemed like, as many of our listeners know, and the journey we've been on for the past 18 months, it's always been just people in the right timing along the journey on what we needed at that moment in that space. And we came across you 4 or 5 months ago, and we've been experiencing miracles. I mean, I've been pretty open and advocating the power of neurologically focused chiropractic. And I mean, still to this day, my 7-year-old, we couldn't figure out her allergies. And it's been at least 2 months where she hasn't had a flare up, no medicine, just altogether, essentially starting back, November when we started coming, like from 8 to, I guess at the time it was like 14 months of stress and trauma and watching mom fight cancer.
Yeah.
It was kind of a moment where, I felt like I was losing my kids, and just to see their personalities, like within a week, come back, like as a parent, and I know you see it all the time, like it is invaluable. So
Jack 2.0 is pretty awesome.
yeah,
I mean,
2.0.
Zach, I would just say, like, I've been doing this 16 years, and you're wearing the t-shirt, and we get to experience it every day. And every single time I am floored, and I'm floored because there are great families like yours that are in the trench doing all the things that you need to do to navigate our healthcare system, to navigate our education system, and all these things today. And their nervous systems are just targeted the whole time, right? If we pull back the curtain on everything, I think that's what we're seeing is it's not just shots, it's not just mandates, it's not just school systems, it's not just these things. It's our kids' nervous systems that are the target from these systems, that at the end of the day, anything man-made that we throw at them is like very, very small. They're damaging, they're injuring, and they're dangerous and they're unsafe, but they're very small when compared to the miracle that God gave to them inside of them, that built them from. And I would say, I just watch it every day. And when you just started to tell me all the stories about, especially Jack, right? Especially Jack, because he's like been through more of it than anyone. And then just even the last couple of weeks while you guys have been down in Mexico, it's like, wow, man, like they haven't seen mom. You just said they haven't seen mom in how long? And for most families, that would be it, right? It'd be over for the kids.
Oh,
And
yeah.
they're like, not that they don't miss you, right? But it's just like, dang, man, they're awesome. Like they're doing really good. And it's your mom, and it's the support systems and all the things. It's been wonderful to see and wonderful to be a part of the support team. So
Yeah, and we call Jack 2.0 because before we start, I mean, Jack is like the classic case study of a perfect storm kid.
yes,
You talk about the birth traumas, the birth interventions, the stress, the antibiotics and the medicine. I mean, he was in the womb for 2 rounds of chemo
yeah,
and spent 9 weeks in the NICU. The only piece of the perfect storm he didn't have was vaccines. But before we started coming in, he was just like real stoic. Like his facial expressions were pretty blank. He kind of just existed. But I mean, within a week, like the second week, he's trying to get on the table,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
like just completely unlocked. And now, I mean, he's walking around, he's
yep,
waving. My mom was saying last night, a friend came over and they have a 1-year-old, and Jack kept trying to go up and play with the little girl, but she didn't like know what to do. And my mom said he kept looking back at her like, why isn't she playing with me? So it's amazing. But before, we started coming into you, I actually came across your Instagram and was following you
oh,
for
awesome,
yeah, for months before. And I always appreciated just how you speak your mind, and but it's in a way where it's not like attacking, but it's
yeah,
like, hey, here's what's happening. Like we need to start thinking about these things. And then when I found out you're in Escondido, I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's right by me. So, but I want to rapid fire through a couple questions to get the
absolutely.
conversation going. Are we raising healthier kids or just more manageable ones?
We are currently raising kids who have a lower life expectancy than us adults. Like that is
Mm,
one of the first times in history that they've actually documented that. And so I think it is very clear that our children and this chronic disease epidemic is not. I'll answer that this way. I've been in practice 16 years, and I think I learned by my 5th year, I was like, wait a minute, like there's something very different. There's something very different between the kids that are referred to my practice that are versus the kids that are coming through my practice, right? When you run a preconception, fertility, pregnancy-based chiropractic practice, that's a very strong kind of foundation of the practice. You're educating about informed consent long before the perfect storm could manifest, right? So when you empower
mhm.
mothers and empower dads to understand those conversations and those things they're going to have to navigate if they're in the conventional system or if they choose outside of the conventional system, you see these stark contrasts, right? Where you see the trends for the kids that are being referred in, and you see like almost none. Now it's different because I believe that they're getting crafty about how they're attacking our kids' nervous systems, and the things that work back then don't work as well now. Not to say that they're wrong, it's just that we have to be better about how our lifestyle and how we manage certain things. So it's not even a matter of kids that are better to manage as much as I would say further, right? And this is maybe one of the ways that I actually take it a little bit further. I'd say kids that are just shackled, they're shackled to the system. There's no exit to the
Yeah.
system unless they somehow run into someone like us or a PX doc or someone that actually just understands where their nervous system is, where you want them to get to. Because some people don't want out of the system. And so
Hmm.
they may not align with our care. But if you do, then what's the plan, right? What's the process to actually help our kids exit, and in many respects, hopefully never need it again, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So then has medicine confused obedience with success?
I think medicine has, oh, this is a really good question, right? Define better is how I was trained into this, right? Dr. David Jackson, Dr. Tony Ebel actually were the first that actually brought this kind of language into my mindset, where it's like, if better is defined, if better is defined as more drugs and more of the system, then medicine is not confused. Medicine is doing exactly what it's potentially designed to do. If better means healthier, vibrant, more resilient, less dependent on pharma, then medicine is very confused, right? Then medicine has no concept that what they're delivering into the kids is only doing the bidding of the system.
Yeah. Yeah. So then, is it radical to say that parents know their children better than the system?
I think parents forget more, right? Because we're in the freaking weeds, man. Like, I'm a couple minutes late because, like, dude, my son
Right.
crapped on the floor, dude, and was like, what do you do, right? You're supposed to go down and nap, and then we're doing a bath, and like I'm hosing him off, and it's like, dude, like you want to free range kids, and you let them run around with other diaper on it, they poop on the floor, and you're like, what do we do? Clean it up, right?
Right.
But in that process, you forget so much about your kid. But then there will never be a time where the system will know more about my kid than any doctor will know more about my kid. I didn't grow them, right? Like our wives grew our children, and
Yeah.
I know more about the kids than any doctor or anybody in the system will ever know about the kids, right? And I forget about it. I
Yeah.
was like, wow, man, I forgot my kids do that, but I know it, right? And then you take a mom who literally grows them from 2 half cells to 26 billion cells that they transform this and co-create this life, and they don't have to consciously think about it, and somehow we pull the wool over our parents' eyes and be like, oh, we know more than you, ask the doctor, right?
Yeah.
Hell no. Like in my office, like, dude, I ever once made you subservient to me? Like, no,
No.
it's usually like, hey, we're either going to be partners, right? Either we're going to be like equals, or I'm asking you, like, what does your intuition say? What do you know in your heart? And if I can get those two together, then
Yeah.
we just know kids are going to heal.
Right. Right. And just real quick for the listeners, this is a little bit of a different format of a podcast, but I would like you to listen to this conversation in the space of you have autonomy, you have power, and a lot of our listeners are more biomed focused, and I hope it is an encouragement just to keep going. You're doing the right thing,
Can I
and
say something to that real quick?
yeah,
Like these biomedical interventions, man, if they didn't exist, I honestly think our kids would have zero chance right now.
hmm,
I think that, and then what then fuels this kind of whole alternative, quote, alternative industry for autism or for neurodevelopmental challenges and neurobehavioral challenges, with all the censorship and all the things that we do to block these therapies and these opportunities and these ways that kids can heal naturally and outside of the system. Like, it's fueled by parents, it's fueled by their education, it's fueled by the, like, doom scrolling sometimes at night, and it's just like, wait a minute, like, boom, like there's this moment of connection where a mom's intuition and all her understandings of everything that they know about what's been happening to their kids meets sometimes a post or some random video or something, and then all of a sudden there's a connection, right? And then there's a relationship, an actual doctor patient relationship, right? That we would call in chiropractic a sacred trust. That, man, keep going, because it's not about the chiropractic show, right? I am biased because I am a chiropractor, but we are really just trying to be a part of the village, this village that is saving these kids in a big way.
yeah, 100%. So then that brings up an interesting an interesting word, healing. How would you define healing?
Uh, so I would say eh, healing versus curing, right?
Yeah.
Like curing is medicine's attempt to silver bullet, like whatever your diagnosis is, take this drug and your kid's going to be better, right? And then it creates this weird systemic gaslighting. It's like, oh, your kid's labs are normal, everything is fine, or your kids' labs are not normal and they're destined for life, right? Like there's all sorts of weird kind of prognoses that come through that. And at the end of the day, I would say healing is very different, right? Healing is very, very different. If I were to summarize healing, I would say that the body is, because it is self-healing and self-regulating, that it is able to do that with as little external assistance as possible, right?
Mm.
The body will heal itself whether we like it or not. Every symptom is actually the body's strategy to heal itself. But if we have to pin it up against a whole bunch of biomed therapies for a time period, then we have to, right? As long as
Mm.
it continues to self-heal and self-regulate. But if we, shackle ourselves to a drug that actually just doesn't do it at all, then we're running into big problems down the road, right? And then we talk about side effects and all sorts of things like that. You know.
Right, right. So why is this term healing such a big buzzword? Like why does it get such a like aggressive response from pro system medicine?
Oh, man, this is a tough conversation, Zach, right? Because
Yeah.
I would say because there is a lot of money and control in making people believe that they're genetically programmed not to just not heal, right?
Yeah.
Like there, so if there's a belief system that says, hey, this miraculous wisdom that was in mom's body that built this baby, right, that she didn't have to consciously control, that wisdom is still in baby's body after birth, right?
Uh-huh.
And that wisdom actually just maybe needs to be inspired to do better, and maybe remove the toxins or remove the things that are getting in between that wisdom's ability to do all those things, right? And at the end of the day, like, I would say healing becomes controversial when you have convinced generations of people to believe that their body is not only made to not heal, but it's made for your demise. It's made, like, your child is made to have a chronic neurodevelopmental problem that there's nothing you can do because they're genetically programmed for it, that all you can do is stabilize them, right? And so
Mm.
if you believe that you're genetically programmed for your own demise, right? So you go to your doctor, and you've been to, probably many situations like that. When they ask you family history, we might think that that might be a nice question, right? About, oh, how's your family? Like, you're asking your family history to continue, in my opinion, the, I don't want to call it an outright lie. I want to call it an incomplete perspective. At best, it's incomplete. At worst, it's one of the worst lies that they could tell. But they continue the belief that, oh, wait, you have blood sugar issues. Your mom had diabetes. Your dad had diabetes. Your grandparents' diabetes. But if you go back to great grandparents, like, no one had diabetes, right?
Right.
But now, right, do you know the average age of diagnosis for adult onset diabetes? Adult onset diabetes. Do you know?
No.
13.
13?
13 years old. 13 years old kids are developing. That's why they call it type 2. They don't call it adult onset as much anymore, because the average age of diagnosis is teenagers, right? And what is the earliest age of diagnosis? Before 3. So
Wow.
before 3-year-olds are developing such bad blood sugar dysregulation that they can actually classify it as type 2 adult onset diabetes, and no one's talking about it. But they can make you believe, right? The 2-year-old goes into the pediatrician. oh yeah, mom and dad, I look at your blood sugar. Like your blood sugars, yeah, you guys are on blood sugar medication. Like, interesting. And then you just forward that belief, but insert diagnosis, right? Insert diagnosis. And if it's autism or if it's any sort of neurodevelopmental challenge, that's where the camps, in my opinion, come from. The two camps, one that says, hey, we just got to accept our kids for who they are. We just
Hmm.
don't try to heal them. You can't heal them. It's like, well, it's actually not a debate on healing. It's a debate on cause. And
Yeah.
if the cause is an error within that you can't do anything about, then healing is retarded. Like, no offense, right? Like, healing is not a viable path, right?
Right.
But if you're made from this miraculous wisdom inside of your body, and there are either toxins, right? Maybe people have covered this, maybe they haven't. There are 3 causes of illness, not not millions. There are 3 causes, 3 classifications. Number 1 is toxins.
Hmm.
Number 2 is deficiencies. And number 3 is trauma. And
Hmm.
those 3, if left unchecked, cause enough disturbance and interference in that body's ability to self-heal that an outcome has to be some sort of dysregulation, some sort of chronic issue if left unchecked for years, if generations. And so if you believe that there is external forces that you can then control, right? If there's a toxin, you can remove the toxin. If there's a deficiency, you can fulfill your life with what those things that are missing. If there's a trauma, you can do. There's so much trauma, somatic
Hmm.
work that's happening today that if you can start that process, that's where those miracles come from, right? Those
Yeah.
miracles come from the fact that it's not random. It's actually logic. It's actually, I would call it biological and neurological. I would say it's life itself, and I would call it neurology in a sense that it's cause and effect.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
Does that make sense? Sorry, was that too like heady, or was that
No, no, that was great. No, that
right?
was great. Would you go into some of the science of healing and how neurologic focused chiropractic comes into play?
Sure. Yeah, I would say
Because real quick, the big debate in the autism community is if you love your child, you accept them for who they are. And then on the other camp, it's like, yeah, I freaking love my child so much that I don't want any of what's going on internally to rule their life anymore. But it seems like this camp can't handle that truth. So where does the science of healing come into that?
yeah. So I would say this is why, man. I would say this is why chiropractic is public enemy number one. I would say we're
Yes.
generally the black sheep of the black sheep, right? Where medicine doesn't like us. Clinical medicine actually like us. We talk to like medical doctors that as clinicians, be like, oh yeah, I see a lot of good things from chiropractic. Political medicine, there's no chance. There's no chance in like
Hmm.
true integration into the system and things like that. But we are also the black sheep within the black sheep, right? Naturopaths don't like us. Acupuncturists don't generally like us. So nutritionists kind of, biomed therapies kind of, not really. If you get two PX, you have to be so watered down. Anyways, the point is, I think when you don't talk about the nervous system,
Yeah.
then you can't bridge the gap between the two, right? And so we kind of start everybody through these 4 rules, right? Number 1 is, we talked about it, the body is self-healing, it's self-regulating. Number 2, it literally you live your life through your nervous system. So everything happens in your body, in your world, in your experience because of your nervous system. The third lens is that system can be interfered with. The interferences in the nervous system therefore cause the misfirings and miscommunications in the body's ability to communicate with the gut, right? The ability for the nervous system to regulate the immune system, the ability for the nervous system to regulate hormones, the ability for the nervous system to regulate learning and behavior, right?
Hmm.
Emotions, right? All these things are nervous system based if you understand the nervous system. And really, when we look at everybody, we look at the fourth lens, which is, let's just measure the nervous system. Let's just
Yeah.
measure the nervous system to see if we can understand what's happening in the body through the language of the nervous system, right? And so everybody has their other lenses, but I would say ours is, I'm very biased. Ours is maybe the most all-encompassing because nothing happens in the body without nervous system function or nervous system perception, right? Both of those are so foundational to everything. And so I usually talk about this in two lenses. Number one is when the nervous system is interfered with, the way that it is typically interfered with is environmental stressors that our kids are exposed to, that are typically three categories, like toxins, deficiencies, or traumas, right?
Uh-huh.
Generally classified in what we like in the oldest chiropractic textbooks in the physical, chemical, emotional, like stressors of the body cause an inherent neural. So I look at it two ways. Neurologically, it will immediately start what we call a stress response in the body. A
Mm-hmm.
stress response in the body is something that we, just by being born and just by being alive, we are born with, right? Ancestrally, when there was a threat, a bear, a lion, a saber-toothed tiger, which probably didn't exist, um, our nervous system needed to perceive it and then do what? Fight or flight, right? We hear the term fight or flight, and it's like everybody's like, it's just fight. Nobody really thinks about what that means. What is fight or flight? Fight or flight is like, oh, the stress is, man, I'm bigger than that thing, so I'm going to fight it, right? I'm going to defend myself. Oh,
Uh-huh.
that stress, that's a huge bear, man. I'm out, right? I'm hoping that I'm not the slowest one in the tribe, right? And in
Right.
the end, those stresses ancestrally were on off, black and white, live or die.
Yeah.
Modern stressors are chronic.
Right.
There are finances, there's family dynamics, there's holidays, there's, for us, school transitions, right? There's all sorts of things that we know that stress in our nervous system is no longer instantaneous, it is chronic. And when the
Mm-hmm.
body's running a stress response chronically over and over and over and over, and it never has time to what? Get away, right? Right? Get away or neutralize that threat, then
Mm-hmm.
the body can't drop into what they call parasympathetic response. We get stuck in sympathetic fight or flight dominance, and our parasympathetic system sometimes for some kids never turns on. What's the parasympathetic system? You get away from the tiger and you rest, digest, you rejuvenate, you regenerate. And what if you never do those things? What if you never drop into parasympathetics? What if your vagus nerve is never, ever, ever able to tonify and work and regulate virtually every system in your body? Well, then the outcome would be over time, you would develop chronic problems. So let me ask you a question, Zach. I don't know if anybody's done this before. So, saber-tooth tiger, right? Hypothetically, does blood sugar go up or down?
Up.
Blood sugar goes up. Do blood lipids go up or down?
Ooh, too much science for me.
Yeah, but
Down.
no,
Up.
they go up, right? They go up. Why?
Up.
Why? Because blood
Sugar.
lipids, ketosis, ketogenic diets, fat as fuel, right? You need fuel to get away from the tiger, right?
Right.
Do blood cholesterol go up or down?
Up.
Up, right? Up, because you need all those stress hormones to fuel all those responses, because cholesterol is the backbone with many of our hormones, right? Cholesterol is also incredibly wound healing. So if you're bitten, right, and you have wounds, cholesterol goes up because they actually, the cholesterol in your bloodstream will actually act as ways to heal wounds and things like that. What about your gut function? Up or down?
Down.
Why?
Because your stress is up.
Because your stress is up, but do you need like a micronutrient to defend from a saber-tooth tiger?
I would think so to feel the other.
Generally not in that immediate state, right?
Uh,
Generally not in that immediate state, you don't, right? How about your hormones? Do you think your hormones would regulate or dysregulate?
Dysregulate.
Dysregulate, probably because you'd probably focus on one hormone. You'd probably focus on cortisol, sorry, not one, cortisol, epinephrine, norepinephrine, adrenaline, noradrenaline. You'd probably focus on insulin, right? Because you need blood sugar. But all the other hormones, thyroid hormone, probably don't need that much. Like all these other sex hormones, you definitely don't need because you don't need to procreate where you're being
Uh,
chased by a tiger, right?
right.
What about learning and memory?
Ooh, I feel like you're not doing much of that.
You're not going to do it, right? Because you don't need math for the saber-tooth tiger. You need to get away, right? You need to
Uh,
just you need to beat it, right? What about emotional regulation and behavior?
oh, it's fight or flight. I mean,
You
you're
don't need
not
any of
thinking.
that, right? You don't
You're
need
not
any of that,
thinking.
right?
Yep.
What's dysregulated blood? We covered this already. What's dysregulated blood sugar chronically over time?
Uh, illness.
Diabetes, right? We talked about that earlier.
Yep.
What about dysregulated blood fats and blood cholesterol? Heart disease, right?
Mm-hmm.
What about totally like depleted gut function? Insert any chronic gut issue,
Anything.
right?
Yeah.
Any chronic gut issue, whether it's IBS or anything like that. GERD is a huge one with our kiddos, right? How about for constipation, right? You probably aren't going to take a poop if you're being chased by a tiger. You might let one out right away, and then you probably won't hold it for a few days, right? What about what about like learning and memory, man? Like what if how poor would our children's like academic skills would be if they're stuck in a chronic state of fight or flight, right? Or behavior or emotional dysregulation. So, and we didn't even talk about like blood pressure. We didn't talk about all those things that, like are also related to this, but a chronic stress response, we didn't even talk about a dysregulated immune system, right? If a
Mm-hmm.
dysregulated immune system, we're either going to have chronic infections or we're going to have chronic allergies. One's either going to be a total compromised immune system or one's going to be an overactivated, maybe both, right? Do that
Mm-hmm.
over time, right? Do that over time. And this is something that most people would never hear, and it might be somewhat related to you, which is why we would take on an amazing case like your wife, right? Like chiropractic doesn't treat cancer, but chiropractic as a nervous system regulator helps the nervous system regulate the immune system that if
Mm-hmm.
left unchecked, right, if immune system's left unchecked to actually go into pure dysregulation, but also have dysregulated insulin and dysregulated sex hormones, those hormones are very what they call mitogenic. Mitogenic is uncontrolled cell replication. So if we have an immune activation and uncontrolled cell replication, what is that? It's cancer.
Illness.
And
Yeah.
so in our world, we would say that as a basis is the bridge, right? It's the bridge to say if if we can relate interference and a chronic stress response that's running our kids' systems over time, and we know and we can say, ask any parent in the world, right? Are kids more stressed today than we were when we were kids? Everybody can look at our kids and be like, dude, our kids are stressed, man. You talk to a teenager, or you talk to a teenager like a regular teen today that's optimal. Do you think they're doing good going into college applications? Like they are not doing well, man. They're not doing well, right? You go to kids that are younger, you're like, man, backpacks, all these things that kids are dealing with that we didn't have to deal with before. We cared about BMX bikes. How
Right.
long, when was it summer or was it winter? Are we going to come back early? We're coming back late. Like there was no worries back then, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And yet here we are now, and their nervous systems are the target. And so if we can say, hey, the effect is happening, the chronic illness issue is happening, right? And then we can say, what are the causes of the chronic illness issue? What are some of the root causes? Oh, maybe it's the stress response. And we can say, oh, these toxicities and deficiencies and these traumas are literally normal today. They are just normal for our kids to experience and navigate every single day. It's very uncommon for children not to be stressed. But if we can go back and say, oh, wow, it looks like all of these systems have kind of evolved. And actually, what they're doing, because we're being censored for it, you're about to get kicked off of YouTube, probably from this one, right?
Probably.
And so they say, oh, you're over the target, right? Why would they censor you? You know,
Right.
because you're saying something right. And so if you can put environmental changes, central dysregulation, targeted nervous system issues, chronic stress response, and a chronic illness epidemic, we can either say all of it's an accident. We have no idea what's happening. It's just random. We have no idea what to do about it. Or we can say, actually, all these things kind of line up, right? All these things kind of line up, and man, we remove this one toxin, and they speak weird, right? It's like you connect those dots, and they're not random when you understand that the nervous system is in the middle.
Right.
Right. And then you peel back the curtain, you're like, wait a minute, man, because this is what I used to do, right? I used to say, medicine is so stupid. They don't know anything about health. I used to like, that's how I started. So medicine is, unhealth, chronic disease is the number one reason for bankruptcy. Medicine, like nobody knows anything about nutrition, which is true, right?
Yeah.
But the medical system viewed as a altruistic service to humanity, I want to help people thrive for generations. If viewed like that, they're stupid. They don't know anything. But if you're viewing it as, which many medical doctors and medical practitioners are leaving the system because they're realizing, they're like, wait a minute, man. I'm not helping people. Right? Have you ever had a medical provider on that says something like that? Dude, you get them sometimes and they will like dump on you how ineffective their care is. And they will dump on you. They'll be like, people only want drugs. You're like, dude, no, people only want drugs because that's all you give.
Yeah.
Some people come into my world and be like, do you ever think you don't help people, thinking that they're going to commiserate with me, right? Because they're not helping people. And I'm like, no, not one day, not 1 minute of any day of my life for 16 years have I ever thought I don't help anybody. Like everybody at least a little bit.
Yeah.
But almost everybody, like a lot.
Right.
And you show me any provider that can say that consistently and they're over the target. And if you're over the target, what do? Right? Follow the money is what I used to say.
Yeah.
Follow the control is what we learned in COVID, right? Which you knew because you moved and you didn't wear a mask in Idaho, and they're like, "Who's this guy?" Right? Like, and then follow the censorship. I was like, because when I got deplatformed for the second time, I was so mad. But then I was like, that's it. I know it. I see it. Because they're showing their cards. They can't not show their cards once they start censoring you. And I was a poker player in the past, right? I was a poker player. I've been to the World Series of Poker.
Wow,
I made it through the first day, right? It was one of the first things I did after I got out of the military. And once they show your cards, man, once you know their tell, it's over, dude.
Yeah.
Like so the censorship piece was the piece that ended it for me, which then led to the other piece, which was follow the silence.
Yeah.
It's the silence of the practitioners that know, the people who run the system that know, and then the people who are, like, in my opinion, who are actually on our side, right? Who know and don't tell. Right. So once there's a site, like it's a thing, right? Follow the money, follow the control, follow the censorship, follow the silence. And all of those, when they line up, like I will tell you that I bet you Dr. Tony Ebel has never lost a debate when given a level playing field. He's never lost a debate when talking about this whole dynamic with neurodevelopmental disorders and how to navigate the perfect storm and how to actually help kids heal at the root. And I'm also like humble enough to say dude, we don't know everything, man. Like we don't
Right.
like when we do our scans, if I'm honest, like they are awesome, they are scientific, they are objective. They're not rocket science, right?
Hmm.
We're measuring electrical activity in muscles. We're measuring skin temperature along the spine, and we're measuring heart rate over time. It's not rocket science. It's stuff that you could do, like our kids could probably do. Right? They could probably
Yeah.
check a pulse, right? They could probably count a pulse. They can
Uh-huh.
feel a muscle contraction. They can feel if something's hotter or colder. But when you do it objectively and you do it functionally and you do it to measure cause, man, we the way that I describe it, it's like our kids we know are puzzles.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But the medical system on the side of genetic predeterminism will say that puzzles just happen. There's no picture, there's no number of pieces, there's no shape.
Uh-huh.
It's unsolvable. And for us, we're like, wait a minute. Parents know. They're like, no, sometimes this works, right? Sometimes like we see like this little intervention and then we see an outcome. We're like, dude, that's a puzzle piece, right? So
Yeah.
chiropractors, when we do our workup, we will nervous system, PX docs, nervous system focused chiropractors, right? I got to be very specific about that. Sometimes we're like, dude, your kid's a 500-piece puzzle.
Yeah.
Your kid is this beautiful landscape of Glacier National Park. Your
Yeah.
kid is rectangle, right? And you're like a boom, like there's the puzzle, right? We put our scans, it was like boom, you're 15% solved right now. Here's a corner here. You know what I mean? It's not like we're like, here's your silver bullet drug, take this
Yeah.
drug, they're healed forever, right? For us, we're like, okay, here's where they're at, man. Here's a corner, here's the edge, there's the picture. Let's
Yeah.
go, man. Like we'll both go, we're going to go together because I've solved a ton of these puzzles. This is the first puzzle you're solving with your kid, but you know your kid better than me.
Mm.
So let's solve this puzzle together. But you know what? If if we intervene less, they're going to solve it for us.
Hmm.
That's the best part of my job, right?
Yeah.
So it's not to say that we don't recommend a lot of care, because we do, but it means that we don't do a ton. Like we don't do a ton. We stay super focused on a
Yeah.
nervous system focused adjustment, on a nervous system focused care plan based on a nervous system focused analysis, based on a nervous system focused history and intake. And we go into business, nervous system focused marketing, right? Like we would say, if we can get all those puzzle pieces in a line, we can do what your shirt says, man.
Miracles daily.
It's like, and it's not hyperbole, right? It's not hyperbole.
Yeah.
Last week, I told you, right? We had a couple of kids that are on that profound end of things. Like,
Yeah.
dude, like
Yeah. Go
both
into this a little
both
bit.
parents are just like, I don't know how this is going to go. And it's like, we
Mhm.
hear that all the time. And then I don't know if it's me. I don't know what it is, but I know it's how I've been trained, right? And then at any point of day one, both times, moms are like, I'm shocked
Yeah.
that he let you do all that. I'm
Wow.
shocked that normally there's some sort of meltdown, right? And we
Yeah.
have those, right? Sometimes we have kids leave the exam room, the record is 9, right? We have some kids that are um, fixated on cylinders, right? All of a
Yeah.
sudden all the cleaning supplies are put in one corner of the office, right? Sometimes there's other things that come up, right? And with these two kids, I don't know if it was something special this week, but it was like, wow, within like a couple days, both parents were like, dude, and they're very smart parents. One was like, interoception is off the roof. I was like, tell me more. It's like, well, he was telling me when he was full. He was telling
Hmm.
me when he was tired, telling me when he was done, ready to go to nap. And he's non-speaking, right? He's nonverbal, but very much all those cues were so much more on that mom was like, oh, I have no idea what happened. I was like, honestly, I do and I don't, right? I
Yeah.
do because I looked at all those things, but I don't because I don't put a limit on
Uh-huh.
something limitless, right?
Wow.
And so I'll say that because the healing capacity of the body is not infinite, right? It's not like like one adjustment and then everybody's speaking and everybody's emotionally regulated and everybody's, out of their, everybody's potty trained, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it is limitless in my view, that it's very rare for us to see, not to see consistent progress over time, and progress that has been sometimes the long-term and short-term goals of therapies, that in my view is not a failure of therapy, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not a failure of biomedical interventions. To me, it's just what happens when you don't have the nervous system as the quarterback of the care.
Yeah, yeah.
Meaning, if you don't have the one system that self regulates and self heals all the systems online and focused, then it's very hard to get consistent change in gut function. It's very hard to get consistent change in emotional regulation. It's very hard to get consistent change in learning. It's very hard to get consistent change in behavior. There's always going to be a governor and sometimes a regression because we're not actually targeting the way the nervous system can actually encourage the foundation for the rest of that development to continue to improve. Sorry if you had other questions about those
No,
cases. I kind
no.
of just skipped over.
No, no, you pretty much ran through them all. So where would be the best place for a parent to start? And
Yeah.
specifically, I think like the space of this podcast is for parents, and parents are so overlooked.
Yep.
And so, I mean, a lot of parents can hear conversations like this, and their mind is immediately going to their kid. Like, how can I get my kid's nervous system in check? How can I get them out of fight or flight into rest and digest? But the big piece of that puzzle too is the parent. So how could a parent take care of themselves?
Oh man. So that's depending on how much rapport I have on day one.
Yeah,
Because over 90% of the time mom brings kiddo, right?
right.
Depending on how much rapport I have and how much opening I have, I will slide in the question, who takes care of you? And
Uh,
it's like always like it's like
what?
no one. And you're like, okay. And it's not judgmental, and it's more just purely, is this sustainable?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So moms, I love you, right? And I tell my wife all the time, like, if you go down, we go down, right? And I know
Mm-hmm.
that speaks to you, too. And it's like, so for me, anytime you go to the PX Docs registry and you look for a chiropractor in your area, right? Or if you're just looking for a nervous system focused chiropractor in your area, I would definitely do a Google search and look for nervous system focused chiropractic, because we're learning branding and marketing and a lot of that stuff better, so that people are searching the nervous system more than ever. Right? There's
Mm-hmm.
more somatic work, there's more breath work, there's more vagus nerve, there's more red light, there's more infrared sauna. All of us know that the nervous system is trending. The vagus nerve is the most popular nerve in the history of nerves, right? And when you do that, if somebody is trained, especially under PX Docs, we see moms. And so in our office, we almost have a policy that says, well, in families like yours, I don't know if you guys remember this first day, I usually say, like, hey, we start with like mom and highest priority kid. And not everyone's like, hey, we're bringing everybody like you guys did. Like, we're bringing the whole clan, everybody's starting. Obviously, that's ideal, right? But I
Right.
usually say, if you're calling because you're scrolling about your kiddo late at night looking for solutions, and you find that PX Docs database or any other chiropractor that is nervous system focused in your area, just know that they see you too.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
definitely 100% unequivocally see you too. And I promise you that if you are like most of the moms that are finding us, right? Us and maybe you too, and you already have invested, right? You've already had invested in your child. Like, people who have been investing in functional medicine who plateau and they come into my office and they say, hey, it's not working. I usually say it is working. It's working based upon how organized and how optimal the nervous system is right now. And so a
Mm.
lot of our families, like you guys are very, very healthy family. The reason why you guys saw Jack 2.0 and and your kids just start to really turn on their systems because you've made all those consistent investments for years. Like you guys have raised your children in that environment.
Yeah.
They're all just waiting to return. They're
Yeah.
all investments waiting to return. So I would encourage every mom who's listening to this that is searching for answers for the kids, that once you find that chiropractor that sees kids with autism, that sees kids with neurodevelopmental challenge, that sees and understands neurobehavioral disorders, that understands learning, that understands delays, that understands injury, that understands all these things, they understand you too.
Yeah.
Because they understand the perfect storm. And they understand things that happen sometimes in birth. I'll qualify that. Almost every time in the conventional birthing system, that causes moms to have nervous system dysregulation that no one's going to find. And then when we do the same. You're a puzzle, right? And you're likely a less complex puzzle than your child.
Yeah.
No offense, right? No offense, because all of us all of us today have complex children to some degree,
Right.
And in the end, it's like, wait a minute, I am a little bit. If I'm less, right? Wow, I get my oxygen mask on, right? We see a child heal. We see a child heal, and the family heals, and it is dramatic. It is dramatic that the family unit heals. We see a mom heal alongside a child, and the whole community is like, boom, like it shakes the whole community in a healing way, right?
Yeah.
And that to me is one of the things that I love to experience every single day. It's not just the kids, it's the miracles we see, which is awesome and amazing. And sometimes like, dude, that will never happen. Dude, I gotta tell a quick story. Do you have time?
Yeah. We'll close it with this.
Yeah. My a few years ago, mom found us, and her son had autism, right? Her son has autism. He was having a huge like emotional issues, addicted to video games, never left his room. And then went to my workshop, Perfect Storm workshop, and signed up for the new patient and didn't start, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in the back of my mind, I was like, dang, man, like those sometimes those conversations like just sit with me. And then as we started this last year, we made some changes in our team. We made some changes in our structure. And first thing I thought about was this mom, right? And then I talked to her sibling who was in our office. And I said, do you think I could reach out, to your sister? She's like, oh, absolutely. She's been talking about like you and talking about care, and things are bad, and her son had, since become suicidal. And so I reach out, and she's like, oh man, thank you. I was thinking about like coming back because I just knew that there was something that you could do. And we started. And it wasn't like a light switch, right, where everything turned back on.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like small things that never happened. Like, oh, he came down for dinner. Oh, weird. Like he's arguing with the siblings at the table. Wow, they're heckling him. That's mean, but that's weird. They're doing it,
Yeah.
And then it was like, hey, he put his arm around me. That's weird. Like it's like just things, idiosyncrasies that could never, ever happen, right?
Yeah.
And then he'd come to the office, and he was actually then becoming a little bit more open with me, talking to me about like girls and relationships. And, like when kids with autism that are a little bit more Asperger's and they get fixated on things, like I was like, oh, yeah, you're being a little bit obsessive with, like I'm not your dad, but I would just say, and it's like, dude, you're a nice guy. Talk about nice guys. And then like football season rolled around, and his brother's in college football. And in the end, like normally he would be a little embarrassed, and his brother's friend's football team came over, and he would normally not even integrate at all. But then he was he was hanging out with them, shirts off, like he's skinnier than everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the last few months, he's like lifting,
Oh.
made the JV team. He's better than his brother in terms of strength at age. So Dick brother's like, dude, what's happening? And this past week, I get 2 videos
No way.
I get two videos, dude. I get two videos of his mom's like, dude, check this out. And it's him playing a keyboard. First time ever. First time ever. He's playing a Kanye song
What?
that he heard, and he said, I'm just gonna sit down and try to play this. And he plays
Wow.
it. And he just teaches himself to play immediately, right? And I'm sitting there, I'm just like, dude, this kid went from freaking suicidal, dude. Like went from suicidal, like literally mom on the ledge, off the ledge. Mom's like, I am off the ledge. He's off
Yeah.
the ledge. We're off the ledge. Like we need to do something about this. Mom's headaches are gone. Mom's hormones are normal. Everybody, and that now the whole family's coming in and you're just like, dude, like it's not fair, dude. It is not
Yeah.
fair how I don't want to call it easy because for mom to remember and then to come back and then to, express and then to share and to be open. And then for him, a teen, right? A teen to be like, I'm going to go to this guy. Who's this guy? Right? I remember the day he came in, he showed me his abs. He was so arrogant, right? He's like, I'm fit. I don't need you. Right. I was like, dude, who are you, bro? And and then here we are, right? We're a year in. A year, dude.
A year.
What's a year in a teen's life, right? It's a drop in the bucket in a teen's life. And it
Yeah.
wasn't a silver bullet. It wasn't one drug, one dose, one time. It wasn't one miracle adjustment. It was a process.
Mm-hmm.
And it was rapport. And it was this sacred trust that we all just knew and we could see the puzzle. And we're like, let's go after the puzzle. And he's playing a Kanye song that he taught himself on his sister's
That's
keyboard.
amazing.
I don't know where your listeners are at right now in the journey. But what I do know is that this conversation that I have with my families, and if you want to come to San Diego, great, please come to San Diego. We would love to see you. We do intensives and we do that. But there is a database of chiropractors that are trained by the best in the world, the PX docs, and they, if anything, are myopic to two things. One is the clinical workup that is nervous system focused, the clinical workup, and then the community that is based upon the results that we get. And
Yeah.
that secret sauce, man, is the sauce that I believe is what our children need, what our world needs. And I will be the blackest of the black sheep for as long as possible. Because if you're going to call me a quack, if you're going to call me pseudoscientific, because I care about what choices people make, about what truth they learn, and then what miracles they experience, call me a quack all day.
So be it. Man, that's powerful. So good. So much
Sorry, bro.
hope.
Sorry if that went long.
No, no, that was amazing. So much hope, and I just, for the listeners, I pray that this was encouraging,
Yeah.
and just keep at it, keep the fight. So, Dr. Stan, thanks for being on Special Podcast. It was an honor.